That is my folding bike. Craigslist, purchase, little information on the bike, give an idea of what it is and how I use it and what all these things are on it. First, I'll give you a look at the bike itself, just get a view. Well, I can start with this. This is a fixing bolt. This one happens to be plastic. It came with the crank set. It's a wonderful crank set. I got it on eBay. Came with this fixing bolt, but this fixing bolt did not have a tool that was, you know, easily available. I looked online, I looked around, and I couldn't find the pattern that the tool that needed to be to turn it on and off. So I ended up heating up a very large Allen wrench. This was a 6-sided. They normally seem to come with an 8-sided tool. This happened to be 6-sided, so the Allen wrench was a great choice. I heated it up under safety conditions, not on the bike. I used a table. I heated it up, and I ended up putting the Allen wrench in hot. And what ended up happening is the Allen wrench melted its shape into the plastic. So now I'm able to use that large Allen wrench to adjust this fixing bolt, where before it was a tool that I couldn't find. But now that seems to be okay. Everything's fine. It tightened it. It's adjusted well. And that is attached to the cranks, the crank arms, which were a set included with the bottom bracket. This is considered a hollow tech style, as far as I know. So that's kind of the name of it, is hollow tech 2. And so the crank arms and the bottom brackets and the bearings came together. I assembled it all, and they work fantastic. The reason I had to use something different, or the reason I chose to do something different, was the bottom bracket. The first one I took out, the original equipment, that's very old ball bearing, cup and bearing equipment, and I tried my sealed cartridge bottom bracket, and believe it or not, that actually came out while I was riding it. It started working its way loose toward the chain ring side, toward the drive side, and just seized up. It wouldn't allow me to pedal anymore. So I ended up taking that out, and then I ended up going with a Hollowtech tube, which so far is so good. I really like that, man. The Hollowtech 2 is really nice. So on this side of the Hollowtech tube, you see there's the little hole that goes through it. I don't know if that's why they call it Hollowtech or not, but it is a 130 BCD, and that apparently is the distance measured between these crank these chainring bolts, which were a free gift with this crank arm set and bottom bracket, where the free gift were the bolts, which was nice. I didn't have to buy them. I did have to get the chain ring, which is a 58 and 58 tooth 130 BCD, made for possibly a road bike, but is working itself into this uh, single speed style chain. And so that works back towards the rear hub, which is a 3-speed Nexus with a 13 tooth sprocket, which is my favorite. So we got the Shimano Nexus with the 13 tooth sprocket. We got the shifting mechanism with the adjusting window there. It goes all the way back up here to the shifter. Now this is a thumb shifter. You won't see very many of these with the Shimano Nexus, because mainly they come with the grip shift. And I'm not a big fan of the grip shift on this style bike. And with this 3-speed Nexus, I like the thumb shifter. So this person on Amazon at the time was selling shifters that worked, thumb shifters that worked with the Nexus, 3-speed Nexus. So I picked one up, and it works great. It was a great purchase. And you know, I don't often buy things from the internet if I can help it, but that was a great purchase. And from there, we can go down to this configuration. It's curious a little. And this is what I use to support my handlebars, my stem. So this is such a long stem, you know, being that it's a folding bike, the handlebars and the stem have to go up so high that it can often come loose or create play. And so what I do is I make these supports. This one is normally where the this is normally where the brake would be, but I put the brake in the rear of the fork, and I put this in the front. And this is the support for my handlebars. So I put this stem on, handlebar stem, because I had to go around this clamp for the folding handlebars. Normally, and in some cases, I can just use a simple C-post clamp and just go straight down. But in this case, with this clamp being as big as it is, I went with this. And this stem worked out very well. The best part was I had these rear wheel tensioners from another bike, and they ended up being the mounts for my rods, which normally, you know, there would be no place really to mount these rods to if it was just this handlebar stem. So they were able to fit in here between the nuts and the gap here. I tightened them down, and then I was able to connect my rods that I use to support my handlebars, along with the seat post clamps here that I use to raise the stem up, and I could use the flat part of the threaded headset and the flat part of the bottom of the folding mechanism combined with the flat parts of these seat post clamps to make it very tight. There is hardly any play in there at all. Where before, when it was sitting on top of the just sitting on top of the threaded headset, it wasn't a very flat, stable fit. And this is working fantastic. I still have not had this come loose at all. So that was a major plus for me. I was thrilled that that worked out. I really was, because this was really an issue. There was almost no other way to connect these rods to this headset except with these rear wheel tensioners. And I just happened to have a pair, which works out fantastic. It really made things easier. Then down here, I put the brake in the rear because I used the front for my support. And then, even though this is an extended brake, side pull brake, I still had to bend this down. I still had to hammer down on that to get it to the point where the pad would hit the side of the wheel without hitting the tire. So now that is in a good position where all I had to do was just pound this down with a hammer just a few times. I don't know exactly how many times, but it wasn't very many. And then that was able to reach. Now it's where I want it. So that's the front brake, and that's the handlebar support setup. And from there, we'll go on to the lock holder. You know, I can put the lock in a lot of places. Sometimes I just go right through here and let it hang down in the back, and it'll just, it'll be loose unless I tie it down with something. But I do this with my other bikes, except, they're on the seat tube. This one, I don't really have that much room to do that. So I put it on this tube here. And all it is a universal, bottle holder. And it has Velcro straps so that you can strap it to a bigger tube, or, various size tubes. And it stays rather snugly. And I put a piece of Velcro in so that it would hold the lock in. And I can just slide it in, slide it out, and I'm ready to go. I also have a little clamp that I use to hook on there so that it doesn't, if the lock does fall out, this will hold it. This will keep it from hitting the ground. Especially, you don't want to hit the floor if, say, you're carrying the bike in the house and you don't want to have that lock drop on the nice floor. That's a nice feature, nice safety feature. The plastic pedals came with the bike. I reused those. The brake handles, I reused those. Those were off my mountain bike. The Zeffel light I got from the big box store. This is there's two models. This is the brighter model, and the mirror I made myself. I just cut two bar ends and used a cell phone holder type, this flat type, with some Velcro and one of those objects maybe closer than they appear mirrors, also from the big box store. And it has a certain shape. You can kind of see that it's slanted so that you can adjust the image in certain directions that might be more beneficial. The seat like some of these parts on this bike came off of another folding bike that I keep in the frame, and I want to fix that up someday, but it's a project right now. The seat post is also from that bike, so are the wheels, but the seat post is a telescoping seat post. So what I did was I took the seat post off the Allen downtown folding bike, I flip it upside down, and then what I do is I cut the groove in it, and then I file it so I can use a seat post clamp on it so it tightens down on the telescoping seat post, the thinner one. And that is how I use the seat post. The seat post did not go in this bike, it was too big, so I had to also do some cutting and filing in here, very carefully, by the way. It was something I took a lot of care in doing because I didn't want to mess it up, but I was able to get that seat post to fit. I like a little bit bigger seat post too, but this is what I got on Craigslist, and I wasn't expecting it. I didn't know what to expect, so I worked with what I had. That leads me to the support that I have here with this reflector tape, which I put on there just in case night riding, people can see me. But it's similar to the front support where I put it in where the brake, the side pole brake usually goes, but I use this top part for my support that goes all the way to the seat post clamp. This is how I normally do it on the handlebars too, except I had to go around the handlebar folding clamp. So this is a seat post clamp that tightens up the seat post here, and it also keeps it strong and supports my weight with whatever I want to carry, a backpack or a heavy load, and it doesn't bend my seat post as far as I can tell. Gives it a lot of strength. There's the rear light to that Zephyr. Okay, that's a nice one. They're both rechargeable, and the brakes in the back are underneath like they are in the front, except in the back underneath they reached the rim of the brake without any having to pound down on it or bend it. So that was nice. These are also the extended side pole brakes. There's normal size and there's the extended. These are the extended. So from there, I think that is about it. We have the 3-speed. We mentioned that. The wheels are 100 psi. I didn't mention that. You can put 100 pounds of pressure in these tires. I have, but I usually don't. Keep it about 80, but they will take 100 psi. And you can see they're smooth in the middle with this little pattern on the side. Very nice tire, very, very nice. I like those Kenda or K West here, and then I think Kenda tire. So that's a very nice tire. I like that. The wheels, like I said, also came off of the Allen downtown folding bike. So there are some parts off my other folding bike on this one. And I think that's about it. I mean, the only other thing I would mention is that those tensioners came off of here. And I want to put another set back on so that they keep my chain tight and they keep my everything tight without having to put the pressure on these axle nuts. Because with these 3-speed hubs, you don't want to put a lot of pressure on these axle nuts. It's different than it is with just a regular solid axle on another bike. These are hollow in a lot of cases, and you know, this is kind of sensitive equipment. So it's best to use the bike wheel tensioner, goes over the axle, usually hooks here. You know, some of them, you know, they're meant for a different style. You have to find the one that you can kind of fit on here and then tighten up. And you know, they don't make a lot of them. You almost have to get creative with the ones like I had showing you up there. And they come with another metal piece that hooks over here and you tighten it down. But that is what you want to do with your rear wheel with these bikes is you want tensioners. You don't want to use your, especially with the 3-speed hub, you don't want to over tighten your axle bolts. That's something with Sturmey Archer. It's the same with Shimano Nexus. You want to be careful with that. But otherwise, there it is. That is my bike. And I'm going to post this, so hopefully, you know, you enjoyed it.